And when we speak up for ourselves, that's when change starts to happen. That's when the universe goes, oh, hey, we see that you're finally ready for the next thing. Here you go. After leaving the corporate 9-to-5 grind, I became the boss of my own spiritual business, helping others explore and navigate the human experience from insight, wisdom, and lessons learned along the way. Today, I help aspiring spiritual entrepreneurs gain the confidence to share their gifts with the world. Welcome to the Happy Healing Shop podcast. I'm your host, Trang Pham Nguyen, and each week we'll dive into incredible stories of strength, resilience, and transformation. So, if you are ready for some serious breakthroughs, laughs and tears, and stories that will inspire you, you are in the right place, my friend. Let's get started. Hi there, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about something that I think all of us are constantly doing in our lives, which is cultivating our voice and speaking our truth. And that can mean a whole wide of spectrum of things, such as speaking up for yourself, or even, let's say in business, you're trying to find your brand voice and how you want to communicate with others or the style you want to do it. And this is one of those things that comes with time. Sometimes it comes from influence from what we see and what we hear from other people. And it's finding that, what do I like from this? What do I like from that? But try to feel as if I'm original. But is it okay if I kind of pull from different people's styles? So I'm going to give some examples of how over time, life or the universe, however you want to look at it, has taught me how to speak up for myself. And I think sometimes people think, oh, how do you have courage to do it, right? I don't think I could have done what you've done. I don't feel like I was born with 10 times the amount of courage more than another human being. However, I think that there are many challenges I faced in my life that force me to speak up for myself. And if I didn't, things would get worse. And I think that's the thing that I see life and the universe do to us is when we keep staying on the path, in hindsight, looking back, is wrong, then it gets to the point where things become unbearable and maybe a huge thing might blow up, or it gets so uncomfortable for us that we have to change because it's not sustainable in the way we live. So I'm going to give a few examples. The first one that definitely stands out to me is when I was at Disney. And you can check out episode 2 of my podcast where I talk about what it was like being bullied, being abused, losing a sense of myself, my self-confidence, and my work ethic too, when I was under a very toxic boss and a toxic team. Now, looking back, the lesson during that time was to speak up for myself. And I don't think these lessons come only once in our life. Maybe there's one big one. And when we speak up for ourselves, that's when change starts to happen. That's when the universe goes, oh, hey, we see that you're finally ready for the next thing. Here you go. This doesn't have to be with the workplace. It can be speaking up for yourself in your family or in a relationship. But for me, it was speaking up finally to HR, saying that I am not happy. I am not healthy either. And I am starting to crumble. And also I was being mistreated. And the funny thing is, that's when things start to change for me. Before then, I applied to so many jobs trying to just leave and get out of it, but I wouldn't get any job offers. And it was when I finally spoke up for myself, a job offer came in about 3 weeks later. And that was when I left my toxic boss and the toxic environment. And I like to think that if you speak up for yourself, better things come along your way because you're starting to change the values or even the boundaries or limits or tolerance level of what you're willing to put up with. And because that starts to change, the universe sees that, but also the things you allow in your life are going to be different. Another area where it's speaking up your truth that comes up for me is family. And a lot of times family knows how to push our buttons. And I remember when my aunt died and my dad flew in the house that I was living in, my aunt and uncle's house. It was just very busy, full of people visiting, doing prayers and all that kind of stuff that I tried to stay in my room. But also during that time, for the first time in my life, I broke out into a rash that started from my neck and went all the way down to my torso. It was really bad, to the point where I had to get steroids at the level as if someone was getting anaphylactic shock. I remember getting a reading and asking, hey, was there something I could have energetically done to prevent that from happening? There's always like the physical reason on why things happen, such as stress, and there's always a spiritual or energetic reason why you get it. And I was told that I was literally suppressing my voice because none of it showed up on my face. It was as if I was suppressing from speaking. And so it started from my neck where my throat was, and I was pushing it down. And that's why it went down to my torso, which I found so fascinating. And it was talking about me not speaking up for my boundaries, wants, or needs, whatever, especially when my dad was there and my family. And a lot of the times I do that because, for example, my aunt just died. Is this the right time to even bring it up? And it's really more so the concept of speaking your truth, regardless of what logic tells you. So sometimes in therapy, you'll think, what is the point of telling my family my thoughts or what I need to say? Because they are so old, they are dinosaurs, or they are so traditional, whatever you want to call it, that it's a waste of time and a waste of my energy. But there's also the aspect that some therapists will tell you that it's you speaking up for yourself and speaking your truth, even though you know it's not going to change anything in them. It's more for you than for them, which gave me a whole entire new perspective. And so with my dad, he used to almost become a priest before he had to flee Vietnam for his life. And so when he got here in America, he didn't continue his journey of becoming a priest because he wanted to work to be able to send money to his poor family back home in Vietnam. So I grew up with a pretty religious dad, I'd say. As you know, I'm not really Catholic anymore. I don't go to church. And when it comes to praying, I just talk to whoever in the afterlife I want to talk to at any time without the need to say the Our Fathers or the Hail Marys or the Glory Bees. So to prep him, I sent him a tactful, loving message saying that I am a different person and that I want to let him know that I don't go to church anymore and that I talk to mom and grandpa in the afterlife without needing to pray. I talk to them anytime I want. That was the gist of the text I sent him. And he didn't respond right away. I think he needed time to digest it. But then he actually wrote back in Vietnamese. And whenever he writes back in Vietnamese, I have to kind of roughly go to Google Translate to translate some of the words. But it was pretty much along the lines of, I love you. And yeah. So it's hard to tell if he's going to be really accepting of this whenever the next time I do see him. But at least that kind of gives him a prep mentally on what to expect from me, but also more so me speaking my truth. And I did feel like a tiny bit of weight lifted off my chest. But honestly, a lot of the weight resides between the relationship with me and my brother. Now, the next example I'm giving is more so of cultivating my voice. So about a year and a half ago, I split from my business partner. And back then, I would say the Happy Healing Shop was definitely more psychic, tarot, mystical vibes, and she was the psychic medium and the tarot reader. And I would say more so the teacher, maybe the face, but more so the teacher of the business partnership. And I remember when we decided to split, I don't know if I'd say confused or maybe stressed on figuring out how am I going to do this? What direction am I going to take this in? How am I going to do this without a psychic medium and talking to the afterlife? What is left of the Happy Healing Shop? Just pretty much what direction to go in. And what can I do with the gifts that I have? Or even what are my gifts? Because I wasn't doing one-on-one readings. And also a fear of, I can't do this alone. How am I going to do this alone? I don't think I can do this alone. And I went through also a period of grief, of grieving over what the Happy Healing Shop could look like with the both of us, but also what am I going to talk about on social media? And when I started doing social media videos or even content creation, it took me a while, and it's still evolving, but it took me a while to figure out what topics to talk about, figuring out, do I talk about things that are randomly on my mind? Do I talk about what we talked about in the past on social media? Do I talk about what is trendy or what gets the most likes? And it was finding a balance of all those. And also coming to an acceptance of letting go of the old version of Happy Healing Shop and coming to a place where it's okay to, in a way, start all over, but I'm not starting all over. And also accepting that there's going to be people that aren't going to follow me because a Happy Healing Shop looks like a completely different thing now. And trusting that the right people will find me for my type of content. And that's been quite a journey, and it's still evolving, and it hasn't been easy, especially when you're trying to figure it out on your own. And so, even though the Happy Healing Shop has become less mystical, there are guest speakers sometimes, or even people in our community that use spiritual or mystical modalities, but it is not a main focus. But yet, the overall arching theme umbrella of healing ourselves is still there. And it's been a journey of me being okay that the Happy Healing Shop will look different, will sound different, and have a different energy, and letting go of the old energy. And I think this has to do with anything in life, with relationships, marriages, friendships, and being able to say goodbye to history or saying goodbye to something you've spent years building on and stepping into a future with uncertainty of not knowing what it's going to look like. And with that, I hope that today's episode has helped you realize that it is life situations that will help you get to a place where you will cultivate and find your voice and speak your truth, even if it is one of the bumpiest rides you will ever be on. But it honestly and truly is a process and evolution of yourself. And that there will be people that love you for what you say, how you say it, your voice, your stories, and you will find your community. You will find your tribe, and it will be very fulfilling. And speaking of community, if you want to be surrounded by a group of amazing people that are on their healing journey with you, are into the spiritual stuff and self-healing, I invite you to join the Happy Healing Club, which is my membership with monthly healing events and workshops, our shadow work journal, our archive of guided meditations to help you ground yourself, and of course our most popular event, our happy hour, and where you get to connect with other people from the community and get wisdom and support from other people. We also have free online resources at our website, thehappyhealingshop.com. I'll include all the links and info about this down below in the show notes. And finally, always remember to shine your light brightly and to share your story, because you never know who it can help, give hope to, or inspire to create a change in their own world. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and I'll see you next time.